Hello my strong friends. In today's video, I'm gonna give you a quick primer on fat loss and also go into some of the things that you need to know before you start counting macros. We're gonna give you a framework on how you can lose weight or lose body fat. So let's just get straight into it. If you guys are new here, then hello, my name is Meg. I make videos here on YouTube about lifting weights, getting super strong, and nutrition, and how can we use nutrition in order to lift heavier weights and get even more strong. So if you like things like that, then please do give me a subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, then do give me a like. It helps me understand what you guys are liking and what you want to see more of in the future. As we know, losing weight means taking in fewer calories or energy than we are expending throughout the day, right? Right. So since my channel is focused on lifting weights, a lot of people who watch are more interested in not just losing weight and focusing on body weight as their only metric, but more so losing fat. And they're training heavy in the gym and they want to see the muscles. So they want to preserve the muscle mass, what they're training hard for, and also lose body fat that's kind of covering up some of the muscles that we want to see. A lot of times people refer to this as cutting or body recomposition. To figure out what we need to achieve a deficit, something that I recommend people use is a TDEE calculator. TDEE stands for total daily energy expenditure, and that's a combination of what you're doing in the day. For me, I'm usually sitting at my desk like this all day, and also what you're doing with exercise, and looks at your body and your individual metrics and gives you a rough estimate, it's just an estimate, of how much you're expending throughout the day with all those factors combined. I do have a TDEE calculator that I use in my nutrition course, Macro Mastery. I'll link that down below, and even if you're not part of the course, you can feel free to use our TDEE calculator if you want to check it out. In order to lose weight, the caloric deficit is the most important factor. In order to preserve our muscle mass, then we want to keep protein relatively high while we're in a slight deficit. High protein diets are great because they can also help increase the satiety, meaning that we're able to stay fuller for a little bit longer. I do have a longer video on body recomp if you guys want to check it out. I definitely recommend watching that after you watch this one. So there's your primer into fat loss. Let's get into the framework or steps that you need to take in order to lose weight. This isn't the only way to lose weight, but I'm going to basically apply a framework to counting macros and give you an idea of how that works. But you can achieve weight loss or achieve fat loss with things other than counting macros or tracking macros. We're going to use tracking macros as an example, but I'll give you also the framework so that you can use whatever method you prefer. Okay, first things first, we're gonna choose a progress indicator. This is where fat loss versus weight loss is important, because if our goal were just body weight loss and all we cared about were how much we weighed when we stepped on a scale, we could just use body weight as our only indicator. However, as we know, we want to preserve our muscle mass while also losing body fat. So we're losing fat, but keeping the muscle, maybe even gaining some muscle. Now, if that's your plan and body recomp is your plan, you might not lose any body weight at all. The scale might not move. So it's important to choose a different, maybe a more specific progress indicator. Things like progress photos or fat calipers, the little pinchy things, or waist measurements might be more specific to you if your goal is to lose fat while keeping your muscle. So we're gonna get our starting point and then fill out our TDEE calculator to get an idea of how many calories and macros we want to aim for in order to lose our body fat. The calculator will give you some suggestions for maintaining your body weight, for cutting, or for bulking, so make sure to choose accordingly. And it'll also ask for a rate of progress. I always suggest the slower the better. The slower you get into this, the longer you'll be able to run a cut for. So that might be more in line with what you want, especially if you're looking for long-term progress, not just quick results. So now you've got a calorie goal, you've got an intake and macro goal, and you've got your starting point with your progress indicator. You have all that information. Now you're going to need to start tracking your intake. This is where, for example, we're doing something like MyFitnessPal. We're tracking our macros. We're starting to raise awareness of how much we're eating and how we can plan and prep to get closer and closer to those TDEE results that we figured out will help us or get us to cutting or losing fat. Our app is what we're using to plan and prep to reach a certain macro goal. The biggest thing here and the hardest thing here is going to be adhering to those macros. When you adhere to the macros, you increase your precision with getting closer and closer. From day to day, you're eating the same thing and you can get a better idea of what is working for you. Based on your adherence, let's say if 8 out of every 10 days, you're able to get relatively close to those macros, that means you're pretty good on the adherence level. If you're any lower than like 80% adherence, that's when you really want to check in to reevaluate whether or not this is the right method to getting you to your goal. So next we want to regularly check in with a progress indicator. If we're using body weight, we want to weigh ourselves every day or at least on a weekly basis. If we're using progress photos, you might want to do that every week or maybe every month. Give yourself some time to see results. If you don't see any results from week 0 to week 2, that's probably not enough time to actually have much of a noticeable difference. I'd recommend giving yourself like 6 or 8 weeks before you're truly checking in. At that 6 or 8 week mark, you want to really assess your progress and see if your current macro split is working for you, and also use this as an opportunity to check in with your own well-being. Check in with your happiness levels. Are your relationships doing good? Is this something that is not sustainable in the long term? Or are you thriving? Some people really thrive with the structure of counting macros, but also the flexibility as to what they can eat throughout their day. They find that they can still enjoy their favorite treats while also feeling good and feeling like they're losing weight or at least maintaining their current muscle mass and body fat percentage. Check in with your mood, your stress, your sleep. Those are all things that are inadvertently affecting your activity level. And if those are really down and it's affecting how much you're exercising, that's when you might start to notice that maybe you're losing a little bit of muscle, or maybe you aren't losing body fat as you were hoping to. If you're achieving a caloric deficit but miserable, then that's a sign that this method is not for you. Maybe it's also a sign that you want to raise your calories rather than lowering them. So that check-in over a span of 6 to 8 weeks is going to be the thing that will tell you whether or not you should raise or lower your macros. Of course, that's depending on your overall well-being and whether or not you want to continue doing this, because a lot of people find that maybe they don't like counting macros, maybe it's a little more stressful than they thought it would be. So that's your basic step-by-step guide on how to lose body fat, how to lose weight. You could take that framework and apply it to different methods. It doesn't have to just be macro counting. I'll put the framework on screen so that you can copy it, but basically it's 1, choose a progress indicator. 2, figure out how to achieve that deficit, whatever that may be. It could be calories, macros, focusing on your habits, portion sizes, whatever. You want to track your intake daily. That could be a pen and paper, that could be taking photos of your food, that could be a food feelings journal where you're talking about how you're physically feeling after every meal. You want to regularly record your progress indicators, check in with your body weight or your progress photos or your fat calipers on a daily, maybe weekly basis. Give yourself 6 to 8 weeks, maybe even more, before you really truly check in with progress and assess your mental well-being, your physical well-being, and your overall happiness, okay? We shouldn't be losing friends or missing out on huge life events because we're counting macros and we're staying miserable, okay? And step 7, adjust your macros or adjust your calories or adjust your portions accordingly if you need to. Okay, that's all for this basic primer into fat loss. If you guys want to learn more about macro tracking specifically, then do check out my course, Macro Mastery. I'll also link some related videos so that you can learn more for free. My course is only $9.99 per month, and it's a 2-month course. So it's an 8-week-long course, and basically it takes lessons and advanced strategies to nutrition. So we have things like supplementation, meal timing, which is very specific. So that's really specific if you're a competitor, if you're someone who's looking to compete in powerlifting or weightlifting and really want to focus in on how to best optimize your training sessions. Things like that are covered in Macro Mastery. We also have another course, Habit Hacker, which is more so based around around your habits and how you can build sustainable, long-lasting habits. Check those out. I'll have information in the links down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Be sure to like this one if you want to see more nutrition videos, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Bye!